Good evening. I'm Haley Ficasello. Tonight, Englebrook Independent News brings you a federal crime report for the District of Rhode Island, highlighting significant federal prosecutions and resolutions stemming from February 2025 investigations, with sentencings and pleas development continued into early of 2026. These cases span drug trafficking, fraud targeting senior citizens, illegal firearm possession, and one of the most sweeping federal health care fraud resolutions announced in the district. We begin tonight with a federal drug trafficking sentence out of Warwick. A Warwick man has been sentenced in federal court for trafficking 2 kilograms of cocaine following a controlled delivery operation led by the federal authorities. Federal prosecutors say Manuel Jose Miranda, 37, was sentenced on January 22nd of 2026 by U.S. District Court Judge Melissa R. Dubois to 60 months in federal prison, followed by 4 years of supervised release. Miranda pled guilty in July of 2025 to conspiracy to distribute and possess with the intent to distribute cocaine. According to court documents, in September of 2024, U.S. Postal Inspector intercepted a partial address to Miranda's residence containing 2 kilograms of cocaine. The package was released and delivered by the uncovered postal inspector while agents maintained surveillance. After retrieving the package and placing it in his backpack, Miranda attempted to flee on a motorcycle. Law enforcement ordered him to stop. Cocaine was recovered from the backpack. Charles C. Calenda, the U.S. Attorney for Rhode Island, said the case underscores the destructive impact of large-scale neurotic trafficking and reaffirmed his office is committed to dismantling drug distribution networks. A Georgia man has now pled guilty in federal court in Providence for his role in a multi-state fraud scheme that targets senior citizens, stealing at least $1 million through a fake lottery sweepstake operation. Patrick Dallas, 38, of Atlanta, Georgia, pled guilty on February 5th of 2026 to conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. He is scheduled to be sentenced on May 7th of 2026. Court records show Dallas and co-conspirators pose as a representative of a publisher clearinghouse or similar sweepstake organization, falsely telling victims that they had won millions of dollars. Victims were instructed to pay upfront fees or taxes to claim their winnings, often sending cash, gift cards, Rolex watches, and high-value electronics to addresses controlled by defendants. Federal prosecutors say the scheme deliberately preyed on elderly victims across multiple states. A Dominican national living unlawfully in the United States has pled guilty to federal firearm offense and now faces prison time and possible deportation. Luis Alberto de los Santos, 23, pled guilty on February 5th of 2026 to possession of firearm by prohibited person. He is scheduled to be sentenced on April 27th of 2026. According to prosecutors, De Los Santos entered the United States on a travel visa in 2021 and was required to depart in 2022, but remained unlawfully. On April 25th of 2025, Providence police observed De Los Santos wearing a ski mask in Hartford neighborhood. Where officers attempted to approach, he fled on foot while carrying a firearm, discarding it behind a building before being apprehended. Investigators recovered a .22 caliber pistol. Federal authorities say the case highlights the risk posed by unlawful firearm possession in urban neighborhoods. We now turn to one of the most significant federal corporation fraud resolutions announced in the District of Rhode Island. Zinc Inc., a Colorado-based medical device manufacturer, has agreed to enter in a non-prosecution agreement with the federal prosecutors, admitting to conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud, security fraud, mail fraud, and related offenses. The agreement announced by the U.S. Attorney Charles C. Calanda is subject to approved by the bankruptcy court overseeing Zinc's Chapter 11 proceedings. Under the resolution, Zinc will pay between $5 million to $12.5 million, depending on the company's earnings during the term of agreement. In addition, the company will forfeit all unpaid insurance claims submitted before September 1st of 2025. Those forfeitures include more than 85 million billed to TRICARE during a payment suspension period, and more than 13 million billed to other insurers and patients. In detailed statement of facts, Zinks admitted that it fraudulently obtained hundreds of millions of dollars by submitting excessive and medically unnecessary claims for medical devices and supplies. Federal investigators determined that Zinks collected over 873 million for its products during the relevant period. More than 600 million of that total came from supplying billing driven largely by fraud. Patients were shipped extreme quantities of supplies, sometimes 32, 64, or even 128 electrode pair per month, far beyond medical necessity. Investigators were misled, as Zinc concealed that its revenue was fueled by fraudulent billing practices. As a part of the agreement, Zinc must implement enhanced compliance, corporate governance reforms, and internal oversight, and full cooperation with ongoing federal investigation. Former executive Thomas Sengard, the company's former CEO, and Anna Lukox, the former chief operating officer, have already been indicted. Both appeared in federal court on January 21st of 2026. Lukox was released under electronic monitoring, while Sengard was ordered detained on January 26th. Federal law enforcement agencies involved in the investigation include Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Defense Criminal Investigation Service, the Department of Veteran Affairs Office of Inspector General, and the Department of Health and Human Service Office of Inspector General. Authorities say the case sends a clear message that corporate fraud against taxpayer-funded healthcare programs and investors will be aggressively pursued, and even in aimed bankruptcy proceeding. Federal prosecutors say these cases reflect a broad enforcement effort, from dismantling drug trafficking and protecting seniors to addressing illegal firearm and rooting out large-scale corporate fraud. For continued coverage of federal prosecution and court developments across the region, stay with Englebrook Independent News. I'm Haley Ficasello. Good night.